hunting,
fishing,
cooking,
camping,
conservation,
travel,
gardening,
photography, family.
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 This is the Outdoor Ruhls Podcast.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Outdoor Ruhls Podcast. Hi, Caitlin.
Hi.
Well, Caitlin, it's early May. You know what that means?
Turkey season's almost over.
Yeah. Well, I guess it does mean that, yes. I was thinking that it means it's almost Mother's Day.
Yeah, that too.
Happy Mother's Day.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're a pretty good mom.
Thanks.
These kids are lucky.
Thanks.
Took them on a big turkey camp adventure this weekend, right?
Yep.
Went with some other family, another family, and a friend.
Mm-hmm. Had a big time.
We did have a big time. It was a lot of fun.
Nobody got hurt.
No. I mean, emotionally.
There were tears. Well, that's not true. The littlest one left with a mark on his forehead.
What was that from?
Emmett hit him with a chair accidentally.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that.
Somebody did get hurt.
You know, sometimes at work we say hurt but not injured.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there were a few times people were hurt but nobody got injured.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I thought that for our Mother's Day episode, I would record a couple of stories about my grandmas and maybe a few other stories with moms. And my intent was for that to end up being a 1-hour episode. And I think not surprisingly, based on who I am and how things go in this podcast, I've got 2 episodes to do for Mother's Day this year.
I would think you could have material for a lot more than that even. So
I think that what could be more important than mothers?
Sure.
Even to Outdoor Ruhls.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe especially to Outdoor Ruhls.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're gonna hear first this week. We're gonna hear from my mom about her mom, about my grandma, and I think I cleared this up in the episode, but her name was Elizabeth, but everybody called her Nutt.
Mm-hmm.
So we're gonna. This is probably not exactly what you're expecting for a Mother's Day story, but I actually think it's still pretty compelling storytelling. So, are you ready?
Yes.
Here we go. All right, Mom, so Mother's Day is coming up.
It comes up every May.
It does. It
Yes.
comes up every May.
CJ was born on Mother's Day.
Was she really?
She was.
Oh, that's cute.
Yep. And she'll
Yeah.
be 10.
Happy Mother's Day, Rachel. Caitlin's here too,
Hello.
and Poppy.
Hello.
So, Mom, every year on Mother's Day, it's hard not to think about, of course, all the mothers in our lives. And, I talk a lot on the podcast about grandpas because I had 2 really amazing grandpas, both great in their own separate ways.
Absolutely.
Dad's mom passed away when I was 2, I think.
Correct.
1982, Dad.
Yep.
Yeah. So I have, like one sort of fuzzy memory of her way back in the memory bank, but didn't really know her as a grandma. And we did have your mom,
Yes.
but she was a character.
There were no warm fuzzies with Grandma Hartlieb.
I always tell people that one of my grandmas passed away when I was really little and my other grandma was mean. and I think people would look at me and they're like, oh, that's a horrible thing to say. Is it an unfair thing to say?
It is not.
No.
It's unfortunate. I wish it weren't true, but it is not.
Yeah, the stories are maybe better.
I didn't grow up with warm fuzzies.
No,
And she certainly didn't bestow them upon you guys either. So, I don't know what to say. I'm not sure why she was the way she was, but she was kind of cold.
Well, yeah. So she was actually related to Catherine Schutt.
Correct.
Who is the other person that I called every year on Mother's Day during my adult life.
And treated you like grandchildren.
Yeah, she was
Truly.
she was a real nice grandma.
Truly.
But give me Grandma Hartlieb's. Well, first of all, we got to dispense with something.
Mm-hmm.
What was she called?
Nutt.
As best you can spell that.
N-U-T-T.
Nutt.
Nutt.
Not nut.
Not Nutt. Although a lot of my cousins would say, "Hey, Aunt Nutt," which really flew well.
I bet she loved that.
I don't know where it came from. She was always Nutt.
She was Nutt.
My dad called her Nutt.
Yeah.
I mean, all her sisters. She was Nutt. She
would
would sign things Nutt.
Oh, really?
Yes.
There you
Her
go.
real name was Elizabeth.
Elizabeth Hartlieb.
Elizabeth McMinn Hartlieb.
There you go. Okay, so if we switch back and forth to Nutt here, that's who we're talking about. What was her life story?
She was the youngest of 9. She lost her mother when she was born in 1913. My mother was born in September of 1913. Her mother passed in April of 1918.
Oh, wow. Her mom passed when she was 5.
Not even 5.
So obviously you didn't know your grandma on your mom's side.
I didn't know either grandparents on my mom's side. My grandfather, McMinn, died of appendicitis in 1939.
So she lost her mom at 4 and her dad in her mid-20s, right?
Correct.
So she grew up in a house with 9 kids and her father?
8 siblings and her father.
Yeah.
Right. Some may have been not living at home quite anymore when Grandma died. The oldest, my Uncle Mick Howard, the oldest of the family, was born in 1898. So he was 20.
Oh, I see.
And he actually was away in a semi-pro baseball program.
Oh, really?
Correct. Yes. And was forced to come home and remain at home.
After your mom passed.
After his mother passed.
Oh, right. I'm sorry.
After his mother passed.
Your grandmother passed.
Right.
And we talked about Mick before. I know he was the one that taught you to trout fish.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
He was a big trout fisherman.
He never married. He lived with us my entire childhood into getting married and leaving home.
Yeah, he was living, like I can remember Mick living with my grandparents, with your parents.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
That made her the same age as Pop Bud, right?
Pop Bud was younger. Pop Bud was born in 1915.
So just a couple years younger.
About a year and a half, actually. February of 1915 was his date of birth.
Right.
And he was the oldest of 10.
Oh, I see.
She was the youngest of 9. He was the oldest of 10.
Man, that's a lot of kids. So she grew up hard.
Yes. And I think that's maybe where some of her bitterness about life a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
They both my mom and dad grew up hard.
Right.
Because my dad had to quit school in the 8th grade. My mother graduated from high school.
Mm-hmm.
My dad quit school in 8th grade because his father left my grandmother Hartlieb, and being oldest, he started working. But their attitudes, and they lived through the Depression.
Right.
Tough times, whatever. But they had totally different attitudes about it all.
Yeah, they really came away with different worldviews.
They very much so. Very much so.
I've often wondered, because Pop Bud was such a generous person and a kind spirit. How did he and Grandma Hartlieb, like, how did they find each other and choose each other? Do you know?
They found each other at Fran's Tavern.
Yeah, we'll get into that one.
My mother was waitressing there.
Oh, yeah.
And Fran's Tavern was my Aunt Fran.
You're telling me that Nutt was a waitress?
I am.
Do you know why that would be hard for me to believe?
You wouldn't want her as your server?
Service focused would not be what I would.
Well, does it match Aunt Fran's Tavern, though?
Yeah, that's
So.
I have some Aunt Fran stories. And,
we all do.
I don't know that I realize she's a waitress there, but wow, what a pair that made.
Yeah, no kidding.
And you said about the world travel. That's another thing I thought about. Your father, of course, traveled. He was working in, I think, Bermuda.
Yes.
Before he was
when he was 20.
When he was 20,
he was living in Philly when he was 16.
He was in the service and didn't get off the ship one year for 20 months or something like that. But he traveled with.
He saw the world.
And your mother never got too far from Quentin, except maybe I remember one story that your dad wanted to take her somewhere. Maybe I think that would be good for you to tell.
My dad wanted to really show her where he came into port in California when he came back from the war.
Right.
So they started off across country driving.
Yeah.
And they got as far as Arizona. And she said, I want to go home, and I want to go home now.
And
he turned around and they came home.
Do you know when that was? Like,
I think, Ron was born in 47. So I would say pretty soon after 45 or 46.
Right. So Bud, we were talking about that. And we talked a lot about Pop Bud, maybe in the third episode of the podcast, way back when. Camp Cook Extraordinaire was the title of that one. But he sort of had this extraordinary service record. He was all across the South Pacific in World War II, and then they came back to San Diego.
And that's where they were headed when they got to Arizona.
Grandma had had enough.
And back to that, do you know of your mother being out of Pennsylvania other than that?
Yeah, she went. My dad had a cousin in Virginia, in the Norfolk area. So she went down there a few times. My dad had a cousin in Texas. Actually, Michael went with them on a 2-3 week trip.
Yeah.
Drive to Texas.
Bill and
back.
Silva.
And she would go to some of the Biloxi reunions, which were held at various locations. As a child, maybe from the time I was 4 until I was maybe 8, we went every year to Rehoboth Beach. She hated it. She hated the ocean. She hated the sand. She said sitting on the beach just looking at the ocean made her seasick. And a fun time was had by all.
She knew how to have fun.
And I got car sick coming and going, so I made the drive very unpleasant.
It is a formative memory for me, the trip with Nutt and Bud to Texas. And there's a couple of things that really stand out to me. I don't know why. We went to the Alamo, which was super cool. Bill was a colonel in the Air Force, right?
And a really nice, he and his wife, a very, very nice couple from Chicago area, I believe. Oh, yeah. Originally, yes.
And he's buried in Arlington.
Yes, he is.
He had an incredible service record, too.
Yes.
Then I remember having lunch on the base. I don't know what base that was, but he was a colonel there. And then they had a pool. I remember swimming at the pool in their house.
Indoor.
The only memory on the trip that I have of Grandma is that we were in a restaurant and I spilled a glass of ice water and she dressed me down. I was like, what, 4 or 5?
You weren't quite 5.
Yeah. And she made me feel so bad about spilling that glass of water in that restaurant. She was so mean about it. We might have laughed. Like, you know what I mean? It might have been one of those times where she was like, that's it, we're leaving.
It could have been.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I was out of Pennsylvania once with Grandma. Most of the trip was fun. Parts I remember about Grandma weren't. And again, her and Bud were so different because that kind of thing wouldn't have affected him.
No.
In the least.
No.
Not even a little.
Nope.
No, wouldn't have cared.
Nope.
Um,
Money wise, they were so different.
Right. Well, that's what
One was tight as tight can be.
Yeah.
Down to the penny. And the other one was maybe overly generous.
Right. Overly generous, but he also.
But not just with money, time too.
Yes. He was generous in every sense of the word.
Correct.
And I've often wondered this because, you know, I've heard it said like that. So Bud, you said he had an 8th grade education. He was in the service. He ended up working for Bethlehem Steel. He hustled in side jobs. He hung wallpaper. He tended bar. He cooked. And he invested well.
Mm-hmm.
He knew how to invest. He told me one time that he invested in 7-Up as a company right when they came out. And I know he made a bunch of money in that, and Ford, he owed a bunch of Ford stock. But I had heard it said, or I remember it being said when I was a kid, that he kept all that from Grandma, that she didn't believe in the stock market and she didn't know about it.
Right.
But that really couldn't have been true, could have it?
I think some of it was true. He may have showed her a few things that he had some stock in or something, because I think dividend checks would come.
Right.
But I don't think she realized how, what, where, when.
But don't you think she kind of, to not know to any degree, she kind of would have had to have suspended reality?
You would think, because even though Bethlehem Steel was a well-paying job for that time in the economy, and he did the extra side jobs, I mean, she never worked.
Right.
He bought every car and every house, because he owned several properties, with cash.
Yeah, he owned 5 houses at one point.
Yes.
All in Quentin.
Correct.
That he used mostly as rentals. I mean, obviously the one you lived in. But, yeah, I mean, I remember him telling me a story about buying one of those houses. And they went to closing, and they were sitting around the table at closing, and it got to her turn to sign. And she said, "I'm not signing any of this. I don't know where this money came from." And that was it. She walked off. But she had to have known. I mean, like you're saying, he never had a loan on anything.
Right. He never had a credit card. Not that they were as common back then. And yeah, he didn't buy anything he didn't have the cash to buy.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it was a simpler time, but you still couldn't. Most people couldn't go buy a house.
Right.
Cash.
Right.
Oh, man.
He always impressed me with, I worked some summers at Bethlehem Steel, and actually was around him, at work a few times. But as we were dating, there were times when he was working 50 hours a week, and more than that. I think sometimes he worked 7 days a week, 10 hours a day. And at that point, Bethlehem Steel was really going big, and they were paying well for the area. It's when Lebanon was probably the most productive and that Lebanon ever was, with, and people were, the economy was really good there. So he was making a lot of money then.
Yeah.
And he invested all of that. You know what I mean? He didn't waste it anywhere. And like Karen said, he was still doing, when he could find time, to do wallpaper on the side and different things like that. So.
Right.
Yeah, he would still come home from a 10-hour day and sometimes go out and hang wallpaper.
Yeah.
Right. He hustled. I mean, he was a worker. In the time that you knew your mom, do you feel like she changed at all? Like, did she get worse? Did she get meaner? Or was it pretty much always the same with her?
I think it was always pretty much the same.
And you really think that was just seeded in a difficult childhood?
She never talked much. Well, she didn't have a lot of memory of her mom.
Mm-hmm.
She was not one to share.
Yeah.
Not one to share much of anything
Right.
on a personal level. I learned more about my family through my aunts and uncles than I ever learned through her.
And, we mentioned something there. So for folks who do listen from the part of the world that we grew up in, if you know or have heard of Fran's Tavern, where is Fran's Tavern?
On 897 between Lebanon and Iona.
Yep.
In South Lebanon Township.
Yeah.
Fran was Frances McMinn, was my grandma's sister.
Gerhardt, her married name, yep.
Right. And as far as attitude about life and people, they were kind of peas in a pod, those two.
They were the most alike.
Yes.
They were the most alike.
And I knew Uncle Mick a little bit, the oldest sibling. Until I knew Uncle Mick, I would say he was kind of crabby too. But there were things I do remember. I do remember Uncle Mick pushing us on the swing. And I do remember Uncle Mick being joyful about some things. And, my more clear memories are probably late, like on the boundary between, because at the end of his life, he was at the home.
Correct.
At the VA, and so
Yeah.
he probably wasn't really himself then. So that's probably not a fair assessment of him. But
For my point of view on Uncle Mick is he was much softer with my children than he was with Ron and I growing up.
I see.
Now, it didn't help. It didn't help that my mother and my Uncle Mick basically didn't speak to one another.
Yeah, I want
But they lived together
But they lived
for
together
their whole lives.
their whole lives.
But they didn't speak to one another.
No, this would be, Karen, go tell Uncle Mick supper's ready. Karen, here's my room and board money. Give it to your mom.
It was a highly functional family.
That's something.
It is something.
Was there a reason for that?
It really makes you wish that you could just ask him a couple questions that they just had to answer honestly, because there must be something, right?
Yeah.
And Dad, I never really put him on the spot about it because he just tried to keep it all
Yeah.
even keel to some degree
Right.
as best he could.
How did she interact with her other siblings? She liked Fran, right?
She liked Fran. We'd go to see Fran, and we go to see my Aunt Mary and my Aunt Cass, who lived in Harrisburg and wasn't married and didn't drive. We had a lot of family that didn't drive. Uncle Mick never drove.
Oh, really?
Well, I shouldn't say never. Didn't drive from the time I knew him. Aunt Cass, we'd go get her sometimes, even once we were dating. So she'd come for weekends and stuff. She went along with him to Florida to visit my cousin Ken, who had lived with us for a while, which was my Aunt Dell's, her oldest sister's, one of her 10 children. And her husband died in 1953, and she had these 10 kids. So some were kind of farmed out to other siblings to help raise, and we raised my cousin Ken.
Right.
She wasn't as close to Jack and boy Harry. We would visit Uncle Boy sometimes, but
Yeah.
more close to the sisters.
What would her and Fran do?
Nothing.
They'd just be together.
Yeah, we'd just go visit, and they'd sit and talk.
I think she would drink a little bit at the bar. Right? She have a beer, your mother?
My mother would have a 7 and 7.
7 and
Oh,
7. Okay.
nice.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Yeah, my mother would have a 7 and 7.
We were going to get the redeeming qualities, and here we hit on one.
I don't know that I ever saw my Aunt Fran drink.
Huh.
My Uncle Mark, her husband, would draw a beer, or I don't know. I don't think they had tap, did they? I don't remember.
I don't remember.
Anyway.
I don't think.
But I don't
did, no.
think, no, she smoked like a fiend, but I don't think I ever saw her drink.
Huh.
I think on Nutt, one of the things that I would say is she would show you displeasure, but she would never show you she was having a good time. I don't know that she ever was having a good time, but I don't ever remember saying about something she was happy about, or smiling
Or laugh easily.
laughing.
Yeah.
It just wasn't.
You
It
asked
wasn't there.
You asked that question earlier about did you ever see any change? I thought there was some change from the time that I started dating you when the children came along, when your brother and you and Kate. Even though I know she maybe was grouchy to you, I still sensed that she loved you guys.
Yeah, yeah. She liked to go especially when you were she'd like to go visit, and we'd take you, like to some of my dad's sisters.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go see Aunt Peg. Let's go take the boys to see Aunt Dot, that kind of thing. And that was, I think, a pride in wanting to show off her grandkids.
Yeah.
But she would never let you guys know that.
No, that's, I always tell people she probably loved us.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure she did, but your
It was hard to know, though.
Your
I
story
tried to
about
convince
going to
myself that she loved me, to be truthful.
Yeah.
but your story about going to Texas with her in the water, she put the fear of God in you kids.
Yeah.
Your sister has a great story on that. The time they had the sugar with the cereal, and the salt was in the sugar dispenser, and she put salt on her her cereal, and she was afraid to tell Nutt that she did that.
Right. She tried to eat the cereal, even though it was
trying to
covered
eat
in
the
salt.
cereal. Finally, Nutt said to her, "What's wrong with you?"
Yeah.
Why are you taking
And
so
she
long to eat?
took a bite of the cereal, and said, "Why?"
She just, man, she's a tough lady.
Yeah.
Mom, what's the story you tell about the time she smacked you? Because I can never quite get it right in my head.
I don't know. We were out in the side yard outside. It was obviously summertime, I guess, or something. I don't even know. I don't know what triggered whatever. But what she said to me was, "You're not going to stand there and make a fool out of me." And I said, "I don't have to. You're doing a good enough job yourself." And whap! I got one across the face.
Oh, man.
So,
But she wasn't, she generally wasn't violent towards us. Was she towards you?
Oh, all my paddlings came from her. I got a lot of paddlings.
Oh, yeah.
And I was dumb enough. I made those wooden...
A paddle with the ball attached?
With the ball attached to play, and every Sunday school picnic and carnival, I would pick one of those.
For your mom to beat you with?
And, of course, the ball would always, it was on that
Oh,
thin, whatever, rubber, anyway, and then that was the paddle. And I was like, boy, I'm a slow learner. Jiminy Frost.
Oh.
Yeah.
What? Yeah, what were...
And then my dad would do stuff like, you know how we got a dog.
No,
You don't know how we got my dog Corky.
I don't.
Well, first of all, a stray English Springer Spaniel wandered into our yard.
Okay.
And I was probably 8 years old or so. And we went and put an ad that we found the dog. We kept checking the paper for the ads for a lost dog. We had this dog about 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So finally some lady from Cornwall claimed the dog. So, and it was hard. After 2 weeks, I was really attached to this dog. So every Thursday, usually both my parents were at bingo at the Quentin Fire Hall because they either volunteered in the kitchen. But this particular Thursday, my dad said in advance that he had to go see somebody that was the manager at the Quentin Riding Club who lived in an apartment in Lancaster.
Mm-hmm.
And he wouldn't be at bingo. So my mom went to bingo. Dad said to me, you're going to go along with me. We're going to go visit Bill. So we went to visit Bill, which we did. And we left Bill. And all of a sudden we're going like these back country roads, and we're pulling into a farm. And lo and behold, there's English Springer Spaniel puppies. And he says there were like 2 or 3 left out of this litter of pretty many, 10 or something. And he said, pick the one you want. And I did. And home we came with this puppy. Mom's still at bingo.
This is very exemplary of their relationship, by the way. But
and he said, okay, for tonight, we're going to put the puppy down in the basement in a box with blanket and a towel and an alarm clock, because supposedly the hearing of a ticking wind-up clock, they feel like they're still with their mom. And we'll deal with the puppy in the morning. Well, at 2:00, the puppy had other ideas and is howling and whining. And my mother wakes my dad up and says, what the hell's that? And it went pretty south pretty quickly. She came to like the dog, Corky.
yeah.
But that's how we got it. That's how we got a dog.
Oh, man.
So opposites, yeah. And he would he would stick his neck out so many times.
Right. And get his head chopped off in doing it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
What? I guess I'm curious. Try to wrap this up. Is
How do you wrap this up?
what were the signs that she loved you?
I don't have an answer.
Well, I'm sorry. She surely did. I mean, she surely loved us, and she surely loved you. But boy, she really struggled to show it.
I don't ever remember her telling me that. I don't ever remember a hug. I don't ever remember sitting on her lap. At night, I was allowed to kiss her on the cheek before I went up to bed. My dad was the complete opposite.
Yeah, he was a complete opposite.
Complete opposite. Get over here, girlie. And he'd give me a big hug and,
Yeah.
yeah, complete opposite. I know she loved me, but she was unable to show love.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that sums it up.
Man.
What?
Unable to show affection, maybe, I don't know.
What about? Can you think of anything that you would describe as a redeeming quality?
I mean, she did volunteer for the fire company. My dad had to give up like church and teaching Sunday school and stuff, so nothing with church, no religion.
Mm-hmm.
If she liked you, she liked you. There were certain people, Dale, Randy's, Poppy's cousin Dale.
Oh, really?
Could do, oh my gosh. But he would give it back to her. There'd be a banner. Bob Boyer, Ann's first husband, because she knew Bob's father died when Bob was very young. Bob's mother was an alcoholic. She knew the rough times that Bob had growing up.
Yeah, I
So there were certain, Jimmy Bowers, your
Jimmy
coworker
Bowers,
from the VA. None of my friends. My friends was almost like a jealousy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There was a jealousy that they were taking my attention from her.
Right.
You know.
It was a theme that and I don't mean Dale, and I don't know Jimmy's story, but she liked people who had difficult childhoods.
Yes, I think she did, and I think maybe because she could relate to it.
like we had a step cousin, Chris.
Yeah.
And he came from a difficult childhood, and she liked
Correct.
Chris. And it was, I mean,
even Carolyn, even my sister-in-law, even Ron's wife, who had some mental health
right.
issues.
Yes.
That's, I mean, yes.
Yeah, that was, I mean, that was one thing about her, was that the only people that I knew of that she seemed like she really connected with were people who she perceived to have had a difficult childhood. And that's not, I don't want to confuse anything with Dale Snyder, because Dale didn't, but
no, Dale was more bannering back and forth, and he would be on TV sometimes with the zoo, and then she'd say to him, "Oh, there's a celebrity again," that kind of thing, and then they had a different
rapport.
Yes, they had a rapport all their own for some reason.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I really think about Nutt sometimes, because she lived to be 84.
82. Poppy was 84.
So she passed away when I was in high school.
You had your leg broken. You were in a cast.
Oh, yeah.
You were in a cast.
So, I mean, I knew her for a pretty long time, right?
Correct.
95
she passed. So you would have been 15.
Yep. And I think about what did I get from Nutt?
Like personality-wise?
Well, personality-wise, life lessons, maybe more is what I mean. It's sort of that lens of like, what is there to be grateful for? And I think for me, it's the idea of being grateful itself. Like she had so much. I mean, Pop Bud was such a kind person, did well financially, particularly considering who he was, I mean, was a great father, right?
Yep.
Was a great grandfather.
Yep.
And what I feel like I learned from Nutt was like that why be miserable? Like, I think about her and her life, and I understand how difficult her childhood had to have been, and that is impossible to discount. But at the same time, she lived a pretty blessed life.
Yes.
For her adult life.
Yes.
And you're a good person, Mom. Somehow, I don't really understand how none of this rubbed off on you.
Well, I think I spent a lot of time with my dad.
Yeah.
I was my dad's girl, thank gosh.
Right.
And I think seeing how she was, feeling how I felt at times growing up, I was determined. I don't know if determined. I don't think I made a conscious, like, whatever. But it was like, I'm going to tell people I love them.
Right.
I'm going to give hugs. I'm going to be generous with my time. If I can volunteer at church for this or that or anything, whatever. I knew from a very young age, I don't even know why, like probably not quite Robert's age, maybe 3rd, 4th grade, I wanted to be a nurse. Mm-hmm. I don't know why. There was something nurturing about that I wanted to do. Anyway, I don't know, but I knew what I didn't want to be.
Well, and I think that maybe that's what I mean, that the absence of something can teach you the value of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And she, the affection thing, is a good example of that. Like, boy, why, why choose to be miserable? It feels like she really had to choose to be miserable, and not just miserable herself, but to be miserable to other people, to direct it at people and project it onto people. And why? What,
right.
What's the value in that? And I can't find any value in it. And I'm almost thankful that I was so close to somebody who was so incapable of being happy, because I think it really made me, one, value people who are happy and make an effort to be happy. And, two, helps me choose in difficult times to think like, oh man, my life is really pretty good. Like, look around, come on. I'm upset that this didn't go my way or that happened or whatever. But, so many people out there with so much harder.
I think I look back on my mom's life and I feel sad for her.
Right.
I mean, I feel sad to have lived a life of 82 years as unhappily as she seemed
right
to have lived it.
Right. Yeah. I mean, because she probably could have seen the world. Papa probably would have taken her.
Oh, absolutely.
To,
Well, she got to Arizona.
She got that far. But
it was probably hot and dry, and she said,
why? Do you know why they turned around?
Because she said she turned around.
Yeah, because she said, this is it. I'm not going any further.
Right.
He could have kept, he was driving.
Yeah.
He could have kept going.
If you would have been in the car with Nutt doing something she didn't want to do.
Oh, I've been I was already. So yeah. Yeah, but all in all, I would sum it up as kind of I feel sad.
Yeah.
It's something that I think you, Mike, and us have a little bit different with travel and enjoy going places. I even think, we lived right next to him for a while, and then we moved 2 blocks away. In that time when we lived 2 blocks away, how many times was your mother at our house?
I'm not sure she ever was at Sins Mill.
Yeah, I don't think she was ever at
Sins Mill.
I don't recall her ever coming down there.
Even when I broke my leg and needed help every day, it was your aunts. It was my dad, your aunts, Catherine.
Right.
Some people
who came in every day. Yeah.
Because
she didn't send
you were
a
telling
meal.
this story the other day. You broke your leg with 4 kids, including
Mark, who was 5 months old.
Yeah.
On the day we were moving into a new house.
On the day we moved in, the last trip back to the other house of the evening, I fell and broke my ankle.
Right.
And I was non-weight bearing on crutches for 6 weeks with boxes everywhere in a just moved in home. And but church, we got meals through church. Like I said, 3 of your aunts came each at least one time a week, 1 day a week each.
Yeah, and every time they came, they all thought things should be in a different drawer. So I go to work and come home that night, and I didn't know where the forks were. But that's getting off that story.
They were saviors.
But the point is, in that time, how long did we live there? 4 or 5 years?
7 years.
7 years? I don't remember your mother being there.
Yeah. She was furious that we moved.
And it was only like 2 blocks away.
Furious. She was furious that I was expecting a 4th baby. My uncle Mick took me aside and said, I never thought I'd hear my sister say those words to her own daughter.
Why do you think she cared?
because
she knew we'd have to move. She knew the house was too small that we were currently in.
See, but this is interesting. This is one of those signs that she loved you and she loved us. She didn't want you to move. She didn't even want you to move. I mean, we literally moved 2 blocks.
I know. Yeah.
But
she loved seeing who came and went.
Well, that's true.
You know, who we had for supper. Oh, the Klings were there again to eat. You know.
Back to, I think she loved you guys.
Yeah.
I don't know that she showed it, but I think that she loved having the kids around. You know, how many times I guess Kate more so would go over there and eat with her in the morning and things like that. But
yeah, right. I'm sure she loved us in her own way. But yeah, I mean, it's so interesting. It's just so crazy that, you know, she could be that angry that we moved 2 blocks, and she was that angry that for the 8 years that we lived there,
we moved in 94. We moved in 87 to the house and 94 to the other house.
Yeah.
So,
So 7 or 8 years.
7 years and a couple months.
She never set foot in the house we lived in.
Nope.
2 blocks away.
Nope.
That was the degree to which she could hold a grudge. I will stay angry enough that I never come there.
Those McMinns could be stubborn.
Man. That's where it comes from, Caitlin. Just in case you're curious.
I don't have anything to say about being stubborn. So.
And look what I had to put up with all these years.
Well, Mom, go ahead.
I was just going to say it's just interesting to me because obviously there must have been some trauma and some of it and maybe there's stuff you don't know.
Yeah.
But you could argue that, having to grow up with a mother that showed you no affection was traumatic too, right? But you chose to go the opposite direction. It's just interesting to think about
Maybe too much.
What needs to be in place for somebody to turn that switch on.
Yeah.
And I don't know what that is, if it's just, your father was such a good person, maybe part of it, but yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean,
No comment, just interesting.
I didn't want to leave without saying that Nutt would be the worst Outdoor Rules podcast guest ever.
Well, she wouldn't do it.
No, she never did anything she didn't want to do.
No, she wouldn't.
She didn't like to talk. She hated everything to do with the outdoors. She would not eat. It's correct, right? She would not eat anything that you didn't buy in the supermarket.
And then some, not some of that even.
Well,
but yeah,
right.
But no, like the uncles hunted. So
No
we
deer
had,
meat.
We had no venison, no rabbits or pheasants, which they small game hunt. Both Mick and Hen are a lot. No fish, no trout.
Right.
She didn't like shrimp, but she never ate them.
She never tried them.
Never tried them.
Right.
Never, ever. I don't like shrimp. Well, did you try? No. Not me. I had to sit and eat liver, as a child, which I hated. I love it now, but I hated it then. But it was okay that she didn't have to eat anyway. But none of the outdoor, none of the fish or.
This would not have been her jam.
Now, Aunt Fran, who was similar to her, loved to go deep sea fishing.
Really?
Yep.
Fran loved deep sea fishing?
Her and Mark and another couple. I don't know which one had a boat or if they went out on charters or whatever, but she loved to go out to deep sea fishing.
Oh, man. Well.
But Mom couldn't even sit on the beach and look at the ocean.
She was a real character, Nutt. They all were.
What are the love languages?
The 5 love languages?
Yeah.
Physical touch.
Uh-huh.
Acts of service, words of affirmation.
None of these sound.
we haven't gotten.
One here.
Gotten to one yet. Hang on, now I got to look them up. Okay, 5 love languages: words of affirmation, acts of service, receiving gifts. Did she like to get gifts?
No, because it was never the right thing.
Quality time.
I don't think so.
And physical touch.
No.
None of the above. Okay.
Grandma's love language was none of the above.
Henry and I got her a refrigerator once, and that was a disaster.
You bought her a new refrigerator, right?
I thought that might come up.
Yeah. Uncle, I was a kid. I was 12 or 13. I don't know. And Uncle Henry said, your mom's refrigerator needs replaced. That's what we're going to get her for Christmas. Come on, we're going to buy a refrigerator. So off we went. And first of all, it was that avocado-green that was popular in the late in the 60s.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, Uncle Henry did no measuring.
Uh-huh.
And Uncle Henry decided the best thing to do is to just totally surprise Nutt with the refrigerator.
Oh, yeah, this seems like a good idea.
So he's at work, I'm at school, And wherever we got it from, I don't remember, somewhere in Anvil, but that's beside the point. They show up, knock on the door. We're here with your refrigerator. What the hell are you talking about? Is this this is the right address. We got a new refrigerator for you. We didn't order no new refrigerator. Do you know Charles McMinn? Yeah, that's my brother. Well, him and your daughter were in here a couple weeks back and ordered this refrigerator. So they left the refrigerator. Well, it didn't fit in the spot that the refrigerator originally was in. My dad had to cut cupboards, upper cupboards.
Right.
And it was green. I don't think she talked to either of us for 2 weeks. Seriously. I mean, a word.
Merry Christmas.
To either of us for 2 weeks. But we kept the refrigerator.
Yeah. Well, and that's like
And
that,
maybe we shouldn't. I mean, Uncle Henry thought it was a good idea. I just went along with it.
Well, yeah.
Like you were 12?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not really on you, Mom.
No.
No, we should talk about Grandma June. Because even though you didn't get to know her, you would have felt a lot of love and affection.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We should save that for Beth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Because since we're talking mothers and Mother's Day, I didn't want to take anything away from Poppy's mom.
Yeah. No.
She was a special lady.
Well, Mom,
Yep.
you're nothing like Nutt.
Oh, once in a while.
Except when you flip people off.
I just wanted you to know you're number one.
That's maybe.
It's a positive. It's telling you that you are number one.
That's maybe a little bit of Nutt coming out.
I'm keeping my mouth shut here.
You should. Well, we love you. I think Nutt loved you. I think she loved us all. I think she just
couldn't
show it. But
Couldn't
I've always
express it.
known that you've loved me. So, thanks.
You're welcome.
Happy Mother's Day.
Thank you.
Well, Caitlin, we're back.
Mm-hmm.
I still don't quite know exactly how to process that whole story.
Who does?
Yeah. I mean, I just think the point that I keep coming back to is that there's just some degree of choice in how you process the experiences that you have in your life and how you choose to respond to the world after.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense?
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, and I think that the story about Nutt and how Mom turned out are kind of like, they're just so exemplary of that dichotomy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, everybody's going to have difficult times in their lives, sorrow, tragedy, and for some people, I mean, things can be really terrible, and I don't, mean to say that you can just choose to be happy all the time. But I think overall there's this element of, you can decide whether you're going to be grateful for all the things that you have and try to project positivity in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that it's just such a testament to the beautiful person that my mother is.
Yes.
And how great a mom she is, because she did not get that example from her mother.
Mm-hmm.
So
but maybe some of it is the counterexample, and that's where the choosing comes in too, right? Like the example she got was what I don't want to be.
Right.
And she chose not to do that.
And I think there's a beautiful lesson in that too.
Yeah.
That you can choose to learn, positive lessons from difficult situations.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I just want to say thanks, Mom. I know that Nutt loved you, and I know that she was not good at all at showing it, but I mostly just want to say that I love you, and we all love you, and thanks for being a great mom. And thank you, Kaylin. You're a great mom to these kids.
You're welcome.
All right. Well, we will be back next week with part 2 of our Mother's Day episode. So this will straddle Mother's Day. This will come out before Mother's Day. So from everybody at Outdoor Rules to all the great moms out there, thank you for everything we do. We love you.
We love you all.
Hunting and fishing, the great outdoors, mixing history, laughter, love, and folklore. Creating memories with family and friends. These are the trophies that matter in the end. Outdoor Ruhls.